觉得这次的选举，所以最重要的因素还是，也不只是民粹主义的一些因素，是通胀，因为通胀从一个投票人的角度来讲，不是一个短期的现象，他们要回到拜登上台到现在价格水平，尤其是在超级市场有什么影响？鸡蛋多贵啊！所以他们会通过这些考虑来判断民主党给我们带来的富裕，给我们带来的一些好处不怎么样，他们会这么认为。他们这次选举的积极性主要是围绕着这些因素，不只是民粹主义。
Well, two things stand out. One is that this election largely focused on domestic issues. It was about immigration. It was about the economy. And the closing line of Donald Trump on the eve of the election was, "Are you better today than you were 4 years ago?" It's really directly about the voters' individual position and condition. And so this is a domestic election. It's about domestic issues, inflation, economy, immigration, taxes for the middle class, upper middle class, and the wealthy who support is about the tax cuts.
Every new American administration means great uncertainty because even if it was, let's say Kamala Harris would have won yesterday, it will be a new administration, new people, tweaks to policies. So we'll have to adapt. I mean, this is nothing new, all right? I think this idea that Trump will create great uncertainty, great unpredictability is correct, but let's not exaggerate it. Americans think this is a huge, that the future of their democracy is at stake. I think that's a gross exaggeration. Trump does not share the views of the American elite about democracy. He has a different view of democracy. But the last time, about half of Americans share his view. All those Americans who voted for him share his view. So the elite view of American democracy is not necessarily the majority view.
特朗普在共和党之内，他肯定是塑造了一个新的，可以说一个仪式。可是说他对美国整个政治影响力，他对历史的影响力，我觉得为时过早判断，因为有可能他的权威今天是最高的。然后他当选总统之后，他肯定会面临一些困难，因为美国财政情况也并不是那么好，美国对外政策会面临好多困难，包括2个战争，所以我觉得历史怎么会给出他的一个判断，我们要等一段时间才会得出结论。我觉得很可能特朗普会给美国的民主体制施加一些压力，尤其是在执法部门，因为他认为这些部门攻击他了，所以会有那个压力会更大。我觉得有一些结论我现在可以得出吧，一个是他不会有第3任期。为什么呢？因为第3任期要修改美国的宪法，修改宪法是太不容易的。我觉得那个民主体制有不同的层面，包括宪法，包括法律，包括一些规则。我觉得在规则这一层面，这是最弱的地方。所以如果他给传统规则施加压力，用他的行政权威来重塑那个行政部门，都是可以做的。可是说到法律，还是尤其是宪法，我怀疑它会给美国民主带来一个 负面的影响。
President Trump is a man who, he's going to be in full control of the government. People are observing there's a trifecta situation, Republican president, Republican Senate, and very likely it's going to be a Republican House. So it's a very united government, and given that, the president is a very powerful figure. Whatever, he wishes to push through, bills and so on, will get pushed through, Now, President Trump is also a man who is quite unpredictable. He can suddenly want to do certain things. He feels there's an opportunity there, he'll try to grab it.
我们应该现在关注的一点是，特朗普第二点版本和习主席是否能够建立一个新的外交还是非外交渠道来管理这些，尤其是贸易摩擦。我觉得在短期之内，很可能特朗普政府会先加征关税，才会愿意谈判。北京从他们的角度来讲，你侮辱我，我丢脸，我怎么会跟你谈判，对不对？可是我不排除在中期，他们会达到一个新常态。
Power is the use of military power because all the issues in our region, South China Sea, East China Sea, Taiwan, these are essentially hard power issues. China is deploying hard power. The only way you can do that is to balance hard power with hard power.
My own sense is that President Trump is not a person who wants war, and he is not a hawk's hawk on China or Taiwan. In other words, there are people more hawkish than him in the MAGA movement. So, in his team, if he leaves an issue to the team, it depends on what the personnel in that team does with the issue. So that's an uncertainty.
The key issue for us, I think, will be the trade issue. I think the global economy is much more fragile than people people assume, and if you have tariffs being imposed across the board, it will make it even more fragile, particularly if people start retaliating and so on. So that is something that we will have to be careful about, but I don't think it will affect Singapore too much. For Singapore, the problem is what has been termed Singapore washing. That means Chinese companies coming to Singapore, incorporating themselves here and becoming Singapore companies. I don't think another Trump administration is going to accept that too easily. Our problem will be, the tech companies incorporating themselves in Singapore, ByteDance, for example, here, or some other company. But it will not be treated as a Singapore company. It will be treated as a Chinese company. So we'll have to see what we can do about that.
Our ASEAN colleagues, I think, will also work with it. Smaller countries dealing with great powers, we often say we are price takers, and you work best, around it. And in dealing with a great power, a superpower, I think it is important, and that's what ASEAN has been saying. We really have to be far more cohesive and united.